Καλησπέρα, είμαι ο Χρήστος από Acid Mammoth και ακούτε Doomed and Stoned Λατινοαμέρικα.
Over Hola, bienvenidos a Doom and Stone Latinoamérica. Mi nombre es Román Tamayo y es un placer estar con todos ustedes en esta serie de entrevistas conociendo a nuestras bandas favoritas alrededor del mundo en esta escena stoner, doom y psicodélica. El día de hoy tengo el privilegio de entrevistar a una de mis bandas favoritas. Ellos son el Acid Mammoth. Tenemos a Chris con nosotros. Hello, Chris. Welcome to the show.
Hey, mate. Thanks for having me. Really happy to be here.
How are you?
I'm doing fine here enduring the Greek summer. I hope you're doing well too.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, the first question is about the beginning of the band. So, can you tell us a little bit about how you met each other and how was the context of the stoner doom scene in Greece in those days?
Sure. So we started this band with one of my best friends from my teenage years, Dimos. We were big fans of Black Sabbath and other heavy music. Therefore, forming a stoner doom band felt like a natural thing to do so. And one day, when jamming, we realized that we had lots of ideas, lots of riffs that could be implemented in a doom metal band. And so that's how the band started, pretty much. And it went on. As it went on, my father joined the band as a guitarist, and Marios, who is another very, very good friend of ours, joined the band as a drummer. And it's been us since then. The stoner doom scene in Greece wasn't so different in 2015, 2016 than it is now. It was pretty much the same. The doom metal scene is more underground in Greece, but the stoner rock scene is huge. I mean, Greek bands sell out venues like that, stoner rock bands.
I watched a documentary about the stoner scene in Greek and start to grow into the economic crisis, and that was very shock for me because in Mexico, especially in Latin America in general, the stoner doom scene is small, so the bands play just in small venues, some bars. But in the case of Greece, the band started to play in big venues, in big stadiums. So that was really, really impressive for me. I'm very shocked. So it's a big difference. And I'm so happy that you are part of that scene. And also you told me that your father played with you. So I'm curious about how is the relationship between your father and you, because this is very special. That not happen frequently in the rock bands. So can you tell us a little bit about this?
Yeah, sure. I grew up listening to my father's records. I remember as a kid, he would play Black Sabbath, Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, and all these bands on the radio and at home. So since he's the one who taught me music, I remember that's how I got into this music. The first time my dad had me listen to Sabotage by Black Sabbath, for example. So playing together, jamming Sabbath tunes together felt just natural, and our relationship is great. As musicians and as bandmates, we have this connection because we are father and son, and it makes it very easy for us to communicate musically. So it's great because I can visit him and we can jam at home anytime. We have this, relationship with each other, and it's going great. And on tour too, we've been to so many holidays together. As when I was a kid, a tour with your dad, it feels just like that. But it's funny, sometimes the not exactly difficulty, differentiating our relationship in the band with our relationship as father and son. For example, sometimes he might not treat me as his bandmate, but as his son. For example, we are on tour and he's like, "No, you're not spending €5 on coffee. What, are you crazy?" Something like that. But all in all, it's great. I couldn't imagine playing with someone else, sharing guitar duty. I just couldn't.
Regresamos a este especial sobre Acid Mammoth. Estamos platicando con Chris. Y bueno, ahí nos estaba diciendo sobre el principio de la banda. La hizo con un amigo. Eran bien fans de Black Sabbath. Y se dio de manera natural el que crean esta banda enfocada en los sonidos lentos, pesados, el doom metal. Y bueno, después se les unió su padre, lo cual es bastante curioso. Le platicamos, bueno, le preguntamos más bien sobre esta relación con su papá. Dice que es divertida, que es una de las mejores cosas que le ha pasado el poder tocar con tu papá, viajar. Es increíble, pero siempre tienen que mantener como una distancia entre las cosas que son de la banda, cuando es tu compañero de banda y cuando es tu papá. Dice que a veces le dice, no gastes 5 euros en un café. Y dice, pero papá, dice, y se ríe, ¿no? Están de tour, al final de cuentas no deja de ser su papá, pero al final de cuentas tiene esta relación balanceada, lo cual no pasa seguido. Es bastante peculiar ver como padres e hijos están en la misma banda, en el mismo camino y tienen los mismos las mismas metas comunes a manera personal y a manera grupal. Eso es algo muy chido. Vamos a continuar escuchando esta entrevista con Chris de Acid Mammoth. Ya regresamos aquí a Doom and Stone. Gócela. Well, in 2017, you released your debut album. How was the recording process and which elements inspired the sound and concept of the album?
Okay, so the recording process of our self-titled debut album was a very long one, a slow process, because back then it was just the three of us. Marius hadn't even joined the band yet, so we treated it more like a project rather than a band at that point in time. For example, Dimos had to join the Greek army, which is mandatory in Greece for 9 months, so the process was delayed even more. And after we self-released our debut album, did we become an actual band, and we started really rehearsing, doing gigs and stuff. Our inspirations varied from Electric Wizard to Uncle Acid to Black Sabbath. That's mostly it was Sabbath, because that's why we started this from the beginning, because we really enjoy jamming Sabbath tunes together. It just makes us so happy.
Yeah, Sabbath is the best, is the godfathers of everything. So yeah, totally. Everybody loves Black Sabbath, and totally I understand. And 3 years later, you signed with Heavy Psych Sounds Records and released the killer album Under the Acid Hub. Thanks to this whole stoner doom scene around the world, hear your name. So how do you feel about the reception of the album, and how is the relationship with the label?
Actually, the reception of this album was surreal, and we still can't believe it sometimes. I mean, we sometimes think, is this us? Is this for us? All this, reception. It was crazy because we took our sweet time after the debut album. We wanted to release something that we felt would be really cool in the ears of people who are into stoner doom in general. And also what was equally surreal was that Heavy Psych Sounds was interested in releasing this album. That was another surreal thing. With this album, we wanted to improve in every aspect there is. When it comes to the production, when it comes to the songs themselves, the quality, the riffs, we wanted something heavier, fuzzier. And in the end, I think we got that result. Our relationship with Heavy Psych Sounds couldn't be, I think, better. I mean, we absolutely love Gabe, the boss of Heavy Psych Sounds, and we wouldn't be anywhere without him, without his help and his faith on us.
Gabriel is amazing. I think, when this is my personal opinion, Heavy Psych Sound Records is the best stoner label right now in the world. So actually, we distribute Heavy Psych Sound Records in Mexico, and that's a really big deal. And thanks to this, more people start to discover this kind of sounds. Your band, you have a lot of fans here in Mexico. And for me, that's really cool. That's why I'm doing this interview. Thanks to the fans. The fans asked me. for this
That's
interview.
crazy. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And well, in Europe, you have these amazing festivals like Desert Fest, Keep It Low, Freak Valley, or Radburn. You have played in some of them. So, how do you describe this experience? Because for us as Mexicans or as Latinos, it's the dream to play in one of these festivals. I mean, we work so hard, and maybe we sacrifice a lot to go to those places, and you have these festivals there. So can you describe how is this experience to play in these festivals?
Actually, like you said, it was a dream come true. I mean, for example, back in 2014, 2015, before Acid Mammoth, as a Stoner Doom fan, I would go to, for example, Desert Fest Athens and watch these bands. And if you told me back then that in 6 years you're going to play you're in Desert Fest yourself, I would be like, get out of here. No way. Actually, yeah, it was absolutely surreal to play there. And even as fans watching all the other bands play and playing ourselves, it was crazy. I think for example, that night at Desert Fest Belgium last year might be one of the coolest, if not the coolest night of my life. That's how far up I would take that experience. And this just makes us want to do more,
That's very special, because when you achieve these dreams, you is the inspiration, is the gas to continue creating music and doing more and more stuff. So it's really really nice. So congratulations for that. Estamos de regreso en este especial de Acid Mammoth aquí en Doom and Stone Latinoamérica. Estamos platicando con Chris y bueno, primero le preguntamos un poco sobre el primer disco que grabaron. Dice que su mayor inspiración sin duda es Black Sabbath, pero también había influencias de Electric Wizard y los Uncle Acid. En ese tiempo estaban haciendo muchas presentaciones, muchos shows. Y bueno, fue como el primer paso que tuvieron el contacto con la escena. Después de eso le preguntamos que cuando salió Under the Acid Hoof, pues bueno, todo cambió para ellos, el mundo los conoció, explotó todo y bueno, gracias a este disco pudieron alcanzar de cierta forma el reconocimiento de esta escena Stoner Doom que es bastante underground y bueno, todo esto gracias a Heavy Psych Sounds Records. Le preguntamos cómo era la relación con este sello y dicen que pues bueno, es increíble, aman mucho a Gabriel. Y bueno, Gabe o Gabriel pues es el jefe de este sello. Ya lo hemos platicado aquí con Shane también de High Reaper. Así que bueno, es un personaje muy importante esta escena Stoner Doom mundial, en específico en Italia. Y bueno, él creyó en el proyecto y bueno, gracias a esto pudieron lanzar este disco y bueno, tener mayor proyección. Así que bueno, a veces dicen que no se la cree, que no puede creer que esto le esté pasando porque hace algunos años pues él era un fan como todos nosotros y de la noche a la mañana pues él estaba tocando en estos festivales como el Desert Fest Bélgica, que ha sido uno de los mejores en los que ha tocado, y dice que todo esto le ha ayudado a él y al grupo para que al final de cuentas quieran crecer más, se den cuenta de que pueden hacer mucho más, de quieren llegar al siguiente nivel y están trabajando muy duro, así que lejos de decir lo logramos, ese tipo de cosas los están haciendo crecer mucho más. Así que bueno, vamos a continuar con esta entrevista, una parte más aquí en Doom and Stone. Ya regresamos, sáquese algo, gócela. And well, also, and now let's talk about Caravan, your last album. And it's almost the same question. How was the recording process, and why is different to the past album, this new one?
Okay, so Caravan. We have to take into account the state of the world when Caravan was released. You know, everything was closed due to COVID. We released Under Acid Hoof in 2020, and we had all these plans. Oh, we're going to do a tour. Oh, we're going to play here and there. But suddenly, you know, everything gets put on ice due to COVID. So there was nothing we could do. So we might as well record a new album. And I think musically, Caravan is a bit more emotional than Under Acid Hoof. You know, Under Acid Hoof is this aggressive beast, you know, with heavy riffs, crashing guitars. Caravan is more melodic, more atmospheric in a way. I think it relates to our mood at that point in time. As for its recordings, we started recording it in autumn of 2020, and everything was going really well until Athens fell into its second lockdown, into a state of total lockdown. And it made the entire post-production process of the album a nightmare because we had to mix it from afar. And it wasn't a great process to mix it due to the state of the world. But in the end, thanks to our sound engineer, Dionysus, who knows our sound so well, we couldn't be happier with the result. I mean, it came out exactly the way we wanted it. And we are really happy with Caravan, how it sounds. It's trippier in a way. It's more psychedelic, more spacey. That's how I would describe it.
Yeah, and it's a good album, and I think it's different than the other ones, and that's really cool because it means that the band start to growing in a different direction. Yeah. It's not the same formula because we know we love all these bands, and the sound sometimes is very similar, and it's very. It's like the same formula, and you repeat and repeat and say, oh, another band with the same sound, another band with the same sound. Oh yeah, Stoner, Doom, witches, and desert, cars, etc. Yeah. But I think at this point it's very very cool that the band start to developing new sounds. It's not like the classic stoner rock like I use, or the classic doom bands like Electric Wizards. So the band start to discover new sound, make combination, maybe with progressive, with space rock, with other different Latino sounds, for example, African sounds, and that's very cool. And in this new album, you're trying to do that. And I think, this is my opinion, in the next one, you will create something complete different, and you will bring all these sounds to the band. That's why I think. But let me know if I'm correct.
Ah, thanks, man. We'll see if you're correct. We are not so sure yet. We are still in the process of, discovering this new sound. But I totally agree with what you said. We could have released Under Acid Hoof 5 times over with songs that sound exactly like that. But it just didn't work for us, because when we write music and we want to put music out, we want to create something that speaks to us, that speaks to our soul. We don't want to make it this mechanic process that doesn't make us feel, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
we want to let the music flow out of us naturally, not be, okay, now we need to write a song that sounds exactly like Under Acid Hoop. You know what I mean? We let it flow naturally. And that's what we want to do with the 4th album. We want to implement new sounds, like you said, make something more primal, more monolithic, and more horror in a way.
Yeah. That's really cool that you want to improve your sound, improve the band, because as you say, I mean, it's a challenge when you achieve some success and say, oh, the people love my sound, love my kind of music. But if you repeat the same formula again and again and again, in some point, it's like, oh yeah, it's like a AC/DC. AC/DC sounds like AC/DC. Yeah. It's okay. Yeah. Everybody loves AC/DC, but I mean, each album is almost the same. It's like, again, AC/DC sounds like AC/DC. You just need to hear 3 albums of AC/DC and that's it. So
yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the totally different thing is also, I think, something that we would like to avoid. For example, we don't want to become a totally different band. We try to find our own sound and expand on it without it sounding totally different every time. It's a very difficult thing to do, to do something relatable and yet different and fresh and new. It's very difficult to do that correctly, I believe.
Yeah. Estamos de regreso en este último bloque de este especial de Acid Mammoth. Entrevistamos a Chris y bueno, en esta parte le preguntamos justamente sobre su último disco, El Caravan. Y bueno, nos dice que se le atravesó obviamente una pandemia como a todas las bandas. Y bueno, el proceso de postproducción fue una pesadilla. Justamente ellos tenían muchas fechas que hacer, tenían muchos planes y al final la pandemia canceló todo. Y bueno, la diferencia entre este y el Under de Acid Hoof, por ejemplo, pues él cree que este disco es mucho más melódico, combina la psicodelia y el space rock, así que para ellos con este disco han encontrado su sonido, un sonido que los define como banda. Y bueno, también hablamos mucho de su ingeniero de sonido, Dionisis, que bueno, fue quien les ayudó a alcanzar este sonido. Como productor, también como ingeniero, les echó la mano. Y bueno, esto de encontrar sonido para él es muy importante porque justo hablamos de estas bandas que repiten las viejas fórmulas del stoner, del doom, a la calle está el Electric Wizard, pero después de un rato tiende a ser bastante aburrido, bastante monótono y dices, ah, otra banda. Y poníamos el ejemplo de AC/DC, ¿no? Que es una de estas bandas que suena AC/DC, no va a cambiar su sonido y bueno, puedes escuchar 3 discos de AC/DC y eso es todo. Realmente no hay muchas variaciones en el sonido de esta banda y ellos dicen que están tratando de encontrar algo diferente, van a dejar que la música fluya y que en algún momento, pues bueno, que pase lo que tenga que pasar. Así que bueno, vamos a escuchar esta última parte. Le preguntamos a Chris sobre sus películas, sobre sus bandas favoritas, así que tráigase un papel, lápiz y papel para que usted le anote. Nos vemos muy pronto en otro especial aquí en Doom and Stone. Un placer estar con ustedes. Nos escuchamos, ya sabe, en los programas regulares a través de Spreaker o en Spotify, Doom and Stone Latinoamérica, nuestras redes sociales en Twitter, @RomanDoomed, Instagram, Doom and Stone Latam. Y por supuesto nuestro Facebook Doom and Stone Latinoamérica y vamos a poder estar en contacto. Visite nuestro sitio web doomandstonlatino.com. Nos vemos, ya se la sabe, gócela. And well, also talking about sounds, different sounds and things that inspire you, can you recommend us some your favorite bands and movies or books in this moment?
Oh yeah, sure. I won't tell you the my favorite movies because we would talk for 3 hours about that. And these
I love
movies,
movies. I
yeah,
love movies, especially horror and sci-fi movies. So I mean,
me too.
we have enough time. So let's chat. Let's
Yeah.
talk about that.
So if you asked me 2 days ago, or if you ask me in 2 days, I might tell you a completely different set of movies. But let's start. Okay, my favorite band has always been Black Sabbath, obviously. But I'm also a huge fan of Uncle Acid and the Deadbeats, Electric Wizard, um, and also of some new bands that have come out. I try to keep in touch with what comes out in the stoner doom scene, the international on the international level. Uh, I'm a big fan, for example, of Saint Karloff, a Norwegian band. Uh, Interstellar Voodoo is like, I think, in my opinion, the coolest one-song album out there. Uh, Also, I really like occult rock. For example, I love Jexthoth, Jess and the Ancient Ones, Sabbath Assembly. These are a regular listen of mine. And I think that subconsciously, at least on a subconscious level, they have inspired me to write music. When it comes to movies, okay, I won't mention the Lord of the Rings trilogy, of course. This is a given. Let's move on to horror. Uh, John Carpenter, everything by John Carpenter, whether it's The Thing, whether it's The Fog. I absolutely love those. Uh, I also love, I will mention another filmmaker who has made The Descent, if you know the movie, uh, with some cave diving and some creatures inside. Mm-hmm. A Norwegian movie called Let the Right One In. Yeah,
Yeah,
with which deals
that's
with
a really
some.
good one. It yeah.
Alucarda, Black Sabbath, the movie. I
Yes,
can go on and on.
I'm surprised that you know Alucarda.
Yeah.
It's very curious because Alucarda is not popular in Mexico, as you can imagine. It's a cult film for people who loves horror, but not in general. The
Yeah,
regular
exactly.
Mexicans don't know Alucarda, and for me, Alucarda is the best horror movie, the Mexican horror movie. So I'm really
Oh,
surprised that you love it.
awesome. Oh, I love its vibe, because generally movies inspire us not only in the writing of the lyrics, but in the writing of the music too. For example, there have been times when we as a band have sat and watched a horror movie we all enjoy, and then after a while we just start jamming, and this whole mood and vibe that the movie has given us is enough for us to get in the appropriate mood to write new music. So all these movies have inspired us in the writing
Yeah,
of riffs.
and I am curious because I I don't have any clue about any horror Greek movie. So can you recommend us any amazing Greek horror movie?
Actually, I can't think of Greek horror movies at the moment. The only horror that comes to mind is some zombie comedy movies that came out many years ago. Tokako the Evil, but there was this other movie that came out recently called Norvegia, Norway, but it isn't exactly horror. It just has this dark vibe, this horror vibe, uh, and excellent photography and colors. But I wouldn't call it a horror movie. It's more like Jarmusch's movies. How Only Lovers Left Alive is not horror, and yet it has this horror aesthetic. Same thing. But these are the only ones that come to mind right now. So the I can't think of any. Sorry.
No, no, it's okay. I mean, it's really difficult to remember names. I mean, movies, bands. It's a challenge. I'm a nerd. I love horror movies, sci-fi movies. I have tons of books about that, but also records. So yeah, it's a challenge to remember all the names. And
Yeah.
well, talking about tricky questions, this is a really good one. Do you know some bands from Mexico or Latin America?
Yeah, I from Latin America, sure. Artiaga, uh,
Yeah.
they're absolutely amazing. Uh, and from Mexico, there is this band. Oh my God. Uh, Here, I can't remember the name right now. Great guys and really nice music, but just stuck. Also Mephistopheles is a
Yeah,
very
from Argentina.
nice
Yes.
band. Yeah. Uh, I'll need to come back to this question later. I need to remember because right now my mind is a void at the moment. Sorry.
No problem. I told you it's a tricky question. So,
Tricky
well, in
question.
Mexico, we have some bands. Maybe in some point, I will send you the names. I play in a band called Vinum Sabati, but also it's another
Venom
guys.
Sabati. Yeah.
Yeah,
Great band.
yeah, I play there, but also we
Oh,
have
you play
another.
there.
Yeah, yeah,
Congrats, mate. I
yeah.
I was listening to your record on Bandcamp a
Oh,
few weeks
sweet.
ago. Really
Thank
awesome.
you. Thank
Also,
you. Means a lot.
another band is Satanas Pandemonium.
Satanico Pandemonium. Actually,
Satanico Pandemonium.
Satanico Pandemonium is the name of a movie like Alucarda. I think is the
Oh, nice.
second satanic blasphemy movie. So if you have the chance, Google it. Satanico Pandemonium is a really
Um,
good one movie, and well, the guys took the name from there.
I'm adding it to the list for sure.
Yes, yes.
Uh,
And well, the last question for you is if what's the next plans for you guys? If you have plans to record a new album, to start a new tour, or maybe a split, what's next for you?
Actually, both album and tour. That's our plan going forward. We want to play as many shows as possible. And in the meantime, we have already started composing the new albums, and they have finally acquired the flesh and bones. We're rehearsing all the time, and we hope that at some point later this year or the early next year that we will enter the studio and record the album. So the fourth album is on its way at some point, that's for sure.
Yes.
But we want to take our sweet time with it. We want to enjoy the whole process. We don't want to rush it. And at the same time, yeah, we have already been playing to some summer festivals, and now we're playing in autumn in Germany, in Greece. And we will continue doing gigs alongside the recordings.
Awesome, awesome. And well, thank you so much for your time. This was an amazing interview. And
Thank
well,
you
I
so
know
much.
if you have any final words for the fans in Mexico or in Latin America.
Hell yeah. Thank you so much for the support. And we really, really hope that one day we'll be able to see you all in person when we cross the Atlantic. It would be a dream for us. And we really wish that it happens at some point in the very near future. So hell yeah. Keep listening to Doom. Doom on.